Yo guys, so welcome back. So this mic isn't actually plugged in or anything. I'm starting to realize it's not very good, but I'm gonna hold it because I just like pretending like I'm talking into a mic, and it can stop the bizarre hand movements. But today is a big video. I'm gonna be ranking every single season of Fear, which of course I am. But this might be the last time I ever do this because there is no need to do it again. I mean, I've only ever done it once, but this is like, I mean, ranking all my favorite and despiseful seasons is a big thing. So I had to write them down in a list just because I had to make sure that I knew what I was talking about or I knew what I wanted. And in spot number 8 is season 5. Season 5 is horrendous. I hate season 5 so much. Some people might say it's season 8, some people might say it's season 7, maybe others, but they're usually the two that contend with this spot. But season 5 is the worst of the worst. It is peak Dark Era Fear. I'm going to start referring to it as Dark Era Fear because that's what it is. So Dark Era for me is like end of season 4, the whole of season 5. Just the camera quality is ridiculously annoying. Like the blurry filter they use is ridiculous. And then you have, I think it's 2 episodes where they act like they're recording on a camera. And they're horrendous. I think one of them was called like Channel 5, and oh, it's so hard to watch the episode because it's that bad. And like there was no need to do that. Or it's a kind of cool concept, but they didn't do it right. Like they could have just done it for a little bit of the episode or something like that, but they really did not do it right. And it really annoys me. It annoys me. Season 5 is boring. I think that boring is arguably worse than bad in terms of like what happens. So I think that maybe season 7 is a little crazier than season 5. Arguably, season 5 has the hot air balloon. No one ever forgets Strand in a hot air balloon. Like, it's the most obnoxious thing, and it comes out of a fairy tale. It's ridiculous. But season 7, I think, could have an argument that it's like pretty weird. Like, it's pretty weird. But season 5 is decently enough weird and is very, very boring. It's very, very boring. And I would rather watch season 7 over season 5. I think that season 5 is an absolute joke. It is definitely the lowest point of Fear. And it has many lows, and it's the lowest point. And it nearly killed the show. Like, it nearly did kill the show. And I'm just so glad that I might never watch that again. I mean, I probably will. But not for a long time. The one thing I did like about season 5 that I will say is the radiation. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I've mentioned this before, but I always do think, like, what would actually happen if there was, like, an apocalypse and people weren't, like, operating buildings? Like, radiation buildings, there's going to be a problem. And they do kind of tackle that problem or, like, acknowledge it and have an outcome about it. So I am kind of, like, that is a decent thing, but that's like the only thing. Like, I didn't like Grace. Dwight was fine, but like I hated when any character from The Walking Dead came over to Fear, like Morgan, Dwight, and Sherry. Dwight and Sherry were definitely fine, but I still hated it. And they just like mention Sanctuary anytime they want. And then you have like just season 5 just being so boring. Like it is that way, and there's probably a couple things that I'm not even mentioning because I'm not thinking of them right now. But that season 5 is just full of the children. The children. What is that all about? Like they just disappear in season 6, but those children that they just force themselves upon helping, I kind of see why. But it's like seriously, these kids don't want your help, Alicia. So leave them alone. Like Morgan, they don't want your help. And Logan as well. What a crap villain. Yeah, there's Virginia, but I think Virginia definitely shines in season 6. And when I think of Virginia, I think of season 6. I don't think of season 5. Like Logan was a joke. Like season 5 was the biggest joke. And it was boring. And yep. In 7th place, if I didn't already make it kind of obvious, that's season 7. And the only reason it's better than season 5, well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, season 7 is not as boring, and there are some good episodes. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 good episodes, or decent enough episodes in season 5. But the premiere of season 7 is pretty good. That's all I can think about right now. But look, I mean, neither season 5 or 7 is much better than one another. People say season 7 looks like piss, and I agree. I definitely agree, but I don't mind it as much. It definitely looks better than the horrible dingy grey of season 5. And the reason that it looks like piss is for radiation, which is quite cool. Again, I notice how both of these seasons have radiation. They just loved their radiation. The showrunners go. Do you know what? I'm not even going to say their names because they don't deserve that. But yeah, the radiation was cool, and I like this use of it because in season 5 it was used for like the building and it shutting down, and a bit of like just a plot device, really. To be fair, like a time bomb to get out of a specific area. But in season 7, it kind of became Fallout Fear the Walking Dead. And that is cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. And it just wasn't executed good at all. But at least there's like a better reason for the nice camera quality. Like there was no reason to keep that in season 5. Season 7 is probably more ridiculous. Like I say, the radiation, while I say it's a good thing, is definitely also quite ridiculous. As ridiculous as the hot air balloon, probably not still. Strand being the villain is... I like that. I think he's got like a very cartoony way of being about the villain. Now, I don't know whether Coleman kind of leaned into that or whether that's what the writers wanted or whatever. But that is a little bit cartoony, a little bit campy, but it's fine. I mean, it's not terrible. Strand does make some questionable choices. Like, his whole thing is the villain is kind of a positive. I kind of like it. I like Strand getting the attention. I like how it's something that might have been quite similar to the OG Fear view. But let's not forget that it was a bit crap. And you look at, like, Wes, like, near the end, and that kind of decision to turn, and Strand kills him, and Alicia's like, no! And it's just, like, it's just so funny. Like, it really just is, like, a fairy tale. And Madison coming back at the last episode, I like that. I think that the last episode was a decent episode-ish. It was weird, and don't get me wrong, while I've forgotten about it a bit now, I still will always find it bizarre that Madison kidnapped kids. I will always find Padre bizarre. That was a bit weird. I mean, if it was executed right, I wouldn't say that, but it weren't, so I am saying that. Alicia, the episode of Mina, I don't think Amina was that bad. Like, it wasn't good, but I don't think it was the worst rated episode. Like, come on, have you seen Channel 5? But on that, I mean, Alicia Debnam Carey leaving, it's just crap. And the fact that she didn't even show up until halfway through the season, it's just bizarre. Like, why make these choices? I will say that California Dreamin' was like one of my top played songs after that episode with I think John Dory and June in the John Dory Senior and June in the bunker. But that's not really anything to do with season 7. It's just a little thing. But season 7, I would rather watch season 7 over season 5. I mean, let's also not forget the episode with that boxer and Dwight and Sherry. No, that was boring. That was terrible. But in what, 8th, 7th, 6th, in 6th place. So 6th place, I really had to think about. And it can be interchangeable. So I'll just say the one I picked, and then I'll move on to the next one. And no, they can be like interchangeable. But season 4, I think that season 4, like I really do not understand how people can actually say that season 4, the beginning of it is good. Like, I'm saying this, and I'm gonna sound like an obnoxious person, but the start of season 4 is literally so ridiculous, so stupid, so boring, so different. I cannot believe everyone that talks about season 4 says the beginning of it is good. It's not. It's not good. Stop lying to yourself. The beginning of season 4 is actually a joke. Like, it completely changes the route of the show. That's where the beginning of the changes all begun. And if the changes were good, I wouldn't be here saying that. I would say, this is where the transition was. But instead, I'm saying, this is where the shit began. I just don't understand how people actually like the beginning of season 4. It's so bad. Like, Madison is a little bit out of character. Like, the whole thing of the stadium and that, like, maybe I'm misunderstanding bits or misremembering things, but the way that Madison dealt with that and had the stadium, like, screwed over was all her fault. It wasn't all her fault, but she definitely could have changed the outcome. And if it was the Madison that we had just got to know from season 3, it's not like it's season 8 and, like, Madison was, like, a long time ago. This was the Madison following season 3 episodes ago. And she's acting like this. Like, no, like, she could have dealt with it better. And the vultures, yeah, they're there. They're there, they're terrible. No one likes the Vultures. No one remembers the Vultures. Sometimes I probably forget their name, but luckily right now I remember they're the Vultures, but they're absolutely horrific. And then the back end of season 4, that's when I said the dark era started and the worst era. Martha is ridiculous. It's like a little joke. It's like a fairy tale. I'm going to keep going back to that because it is. Morgan appearing as well. That's the beginning of season 4 and starting season 4. No one likes Morgan. No one wants to see Morgan, or maybe in the right context, yeah, but not here. We meet the new characters. June has about 50 billion different names. Nick dies. Charlie kills Nick, which assassinates Charlie's character right till the bitter end in season 8. And Alicia's ridiculous, taking Charlie to the beach instead of just killing her. And then Strand, I don't really remember what he does. Luciana, this is the start of her silent era, which she only just breaks out a little bit of in season 8. Ridiculous. And then, of course, we get the flashbacks that take you 50... Again, this is in the beginning of season 4. We got all these flashbacks taking you back and forth. Are you kidding me? Really? Actually, really? You think the start of season 4 is good, but yet you also... Multiple people will tell you how confused they get because of the flashbacks. And then this is when the grainy camera quality started. It's a joke. The only reason that season 4 is higher than season 7 is because Madison's death or exit was okay. Some of the bits in the flash forward weren't that bad. We have Nick, John Dory. We first meet him, and obviously he's in season 6 and he's in season 5 and 6 as well. But we meet John Dory. Morgan is, well, I don't want to talk about him. I don't really remember. He's just as bad as always. And in some way, the concept of the Vultures is kind of cool, trapping everyone in the stadium. But it was executed horribly. They do have some decent enough concepts in this show. They just can't execute them to save their lives. Season 4 is horrendous, and in some way, if I was drunk enough, I probably would put season 4 below season 7, because I really think that the fact that it started off this horrid change makes it worse, whereas at least season 7's in the thick of it. But I do believe season 4 does have more redeeming factors than season 7, but whatever. So in 5th place, I think, is season 8. So season 8 and 4 could be, I guess, interchangeable, but after just ranting about season 4, I don't think so. So season 8, again, I'm going to come off like an obnoxious person, but Troy is dead. Troy died in season 3. People that didn't believe Troy died in season 3, I really, really don't understand why you guys actually believe that. Troy died in season 3, and there's 3 reasons why. He got knocked in the head with a hammer. He then drowned. He then had the dam collapse on him. You can't tell me that Troy actually lived. Madison, again, I think that she could have possibly died, but I think she's a little more believable because as long as she could escape the fire and didn't get killed straight away, then she got saved. But Troy should have died. But on the flip side, he was okay in season 8. Obviously, I was always uncomfortable seeing him because I always believed that he was actually dead. And he was dead, he was. But I think that they did him okay. I don't think they ruined him. They killed him at the end, and it's bring him back just to kill him. I understand that. I guess I don't mind. I'm not going to be here to say, oh, don't kill a character, then bring them back and kill them off straight away. You can do whatever you want with the characters, as long as what goes with them is good. And Troy should have died, and it just even more subverts realism when he comes back and then just dies straight away. Just kill him in the first place. We all know why they brought Troy back, for the views. And honestly, I don't even think they did it to try and give OG Fear fans a little bit of a kick, because as an OG Fear fan, I'm actually quite annoyed that Troy came back, but he was okay with what he was. His daughter, who I always forget the name of, so I'll come back to that if I can remember. But Madison being back for a first full season was okay. I like seeing the presence of the presence of Kim Dickens. Kim Dickens is a great actor, phenomenal. I love her so much. So's Lenny James. Lenny James is a great actor, but he gets crap. So there's not much you can do with crap. But Lenny James and quite a few people in the show do work well with it. But season 8 has terrible acting from the kids. And it's unfortunate. like, they're kids, and I'm not going to be mean about it, but at the end of the day, this is a spin-off to literally one of the most successful TV shows in the world. And even though the spin-off is not that successful TV show, it's still a spin-off of it. So, like, the fact that they get these terrible kid actors and it's just so awkward. And I definitely believe that if the kid actors had some better writing, they would have done better. However, they're not really as old enough to work with the terrible stuff they're given like the adult actors. So you can tell that it's just not very good. And it just makes things awkward. Alicia coming back for the final, I liked that. I think one big thing I will say about season 8 is the final. I thought that was the best it could be. It was the best it could be. Alicia comes back, Strand gets to be with his family, and he kind of is the only one that sees Alicia and Madison still being alive. Skidmark comes back for Daniel. Daniel kind of makes up with Strand, but, like, he already kind of did that in season 5 a little bit. So it always annoyed me that no one mentions that. Like, and I understand you can like someone, then get mad at them again and make up again, but it's just like, we've really kind of seen this before, so whatever. Padre, I mean, I'm thinking of a lot of 8B. So if I go to 8A, I mean, the Kings County episode. The Kings County and Sanctuary episode annoy me so much. Because, again, they're good concepts. Like, oh, let's go back to Sanctuary or Kings County. But this is Fear the fucking Walking Dead. And nowhere in Fear the Walking Dead, from beginning to end, is Kings County an actual place. Like, if you just watch Fear the Walking Dead, which is possible, you'll have no idea what Kings County is. And that episode just comes across paper thin because there's no substance to it. You have no idea what Kings County is. So Morgan's just going to this place. Oh, great. So it's the Sanctuary episode with Dwight and Sherry. Like, I cannot believe in the final season of Fear they actually did that. Like, do that in a direct Walking Dead spin-off, like Dead City, for example, because that's direct from The Walking Dead, where you would probably have to have the knowledge of The Walking Dead to fully understand them. But Fear the Walking Dead, like, it just annoys me. Like, I understand they want a universe whole, but these episodes should not have been here. Like, and the Kings County episode, theoretically say you have the context, that was definitely better than the Sanctuary episode. The Sanctuary episode was horrendous. I hated it. And of course, Dwight and Sherry always had a Sanctuary Easter egg. It was especially bad in some parts of season 8. But, like, the episode was terrible, but Kings County was better. It was better. And I think Grace died in the episode, which was fantastic because I couldn't stand Grace. And I think Morgan kills a person in the episode. I think it was like in the background or just in the side of it, which is so bizarre because that's only the second person Morgan killed, and they just brushed over it. It was weird. Okay, it was weird. Season 8 has so many weird things that it did, but a good episode was well, I mean, there weren't really any good episodes, but an alright episode was the one with June in the beginning. Season 8 had an awful premiere as well, which was actually quite unusual, because usually Fear the Walking Dead had a decent premiere. Like, there wasn't necessarily a bad one. As I said, Season 7 premiere was good. Season 5 premiere was one of the better episodes of that. Season 4 premiere, in my opinion, was horrendous. Like, it was horrific. And obviously all the OG ones, definitely. Every single episode was good, so of course the premiere was. But Season 8 didn't have a good one. And just going back to Troy's daughter, Tracy, I mean, yeah, again, with the kids acting, like, it was a bit unfortunate because it was awkward. And Troy's, with the whole Alicia being the mum twist, like, it just didn't need it. No one needed that. Nobody at all needed that, but whatever. She wasn't Alicia's daughter. Like, let's just move on to 4th place, which, to no surprise of anyone, should be Season 6. Like, Season 6 is rebooted Fear, but the best of it. Like, if the rest of the seasons had similar quality to Season 6, I probably wouldn't shit on rebooted Fear so much. Saying that, I don't think Season 6 is as good as what people think it is. Like, the premiere of Season 6, I specifically did an episode talking about the highest rated episode of Fear the Walking Dead, so I rewatched the premiere for it, and the premiere was not very good. It really, really wasn't very good. And, like, you think of it in context as the whole of Season 6, the premiere sets up Morgan as to be this ruthless character. That's the only person Morgan kills in the whole of season 6. And literally, besides maybe, if I am remembering it right, that one person in season 8, the only person Morgan kills in, like, the whole show. Like, is that just not ridiculous, guys? Like that's not just me, is it? Like, everyone's like, oh, Morgan's so good in the premiere. Yeah, he's actually not as good as what you remember, and he actually doesn't keep this persona up for a whole episode. He won't kill Virginia. June has to do that, which, good on June. That's probably one of the only times Thea gave us something we wanted. But even then it didn't, because we all wanted Morgan to kill Virginia, and we kind of didn't get that, you know. Virginia, the villains in season 6 were good. Okay, they were good. Virginia was at her best, and Teddy was a psychopath. He was crazy. But we all liked him. I liked him. And that's in the back end of season 6, which is when it started getting a bit crap. I also, like, I'll give you an example of how I believe season 6 is not that good. In the second episode, there's a sticky zombies, right, with Strand and Alicia. I saw a clip on YouTube. I don't know who posted it, but I think it was a Walking Dead YouTuber, but I forgot exactly who. And it literally shows how awkward it was. Like, there's like 5 people stood, and there's a sticky walkers underneath. The walkers grab the leg. They don't notice it. They grab the leg, and they just get sucked in. It's the most bizarre, batshit, ridiculous thing I have actually seen. Like, rewatch it if you know what I'm on about. And actually sit there and tell me, oh, season 6 is mint, that. Oh, that's mint. Oh, yeah, season 6 is better than any OG season. Like, it's not. Alicia's good in season 6. Strand is good in season 6. And it does kind of begin his villain story arc. So it's kind of good to see where it all started. Like, he kind of got in with Virginia's people, and then there was the bomb. And then he was at the building. And then we'd already seen, like, with Virginia's men, what he was capable of, turning them around and getting an army. And so it does lead us into his arc in season 7. I think the bomb was quite cool because they actually went through with it instead of it just being like a looming threat. Like, they properly went through with it, and it was the whole of season 7. And if executed well, then it could have been cool. The camera quality in season 6 looks really nice. I will say that it looks really nice, but that's got FA to do with the writers. So who cares? But seriously, season 6 is the only... Season 8 as well kind of looks alright, but I think season 6 does look really nice. Season 6, it's a bit of a weird one. It does have some good episodes, and it definitely is the best out of them, and it's the one that I would definitely want to rewatch. But season 6 is still that awkward fear. Like, it's not some epiphany that it's completely different. Like, it's awkward, it's janky, and it's still not very good. But I would probably say it's like a C plus B. Maybe B plus at the very highest, but no higher than a B plus. Not an A. Like, lower than an A if I had to do like a tier. Just to give you context of where I'm putting them. But in the third position, the bronze medal, is season 1. So we're finally done with all the rebooted shit. So I can actually enjoy what I'm going to talk about now. But season 1 is a great first season. It's only 6 episodes, not too long, just like The Walking Dead. But I much prefer season 1 of Fear over the season 1 of The Walking Dead. I don't really like season 1 of The Walking Dead. I don't think it's... I mean, it's good. It's good and it gets you in the world. But I would much prefer to watch season 1 of Fear. And I think that season 1 of Fear, when it first came out, was not as looked upon as it is now. I mean, it's not like dead looked upon now. But I think that over time, it's definitely got more respect because it deserves that respect. It definitely shows off the beginning of it all. Rick was in the coma, so we didn't get to see Rick. Rick was in the coma, so we didn't get to see the beginning of the apocalypse. But with Fear the Walking Dead season 1, we did. And we get introduced to these characters who have so much about them, and each one has much to unravel. And especially as we get into season 2 and 3, we will learn much more about them. And that's including Travis, Madison, Nick, Alicia, Chris. Like, they are good characters, and each of them characters has a certain complexity that I don't even think The Walking Dead could replicate some of these characters. Like, Rick is... In my eyes, you look at Rick and you look at Madison, or even look at Rick and Nick, and Nick is much more complex. And Nick is actually some people's favourite character of the whole universe, like Walking Dead included. So it's quite understandable to see why. Fear the Walking Dead was something new. It was something that hadn't been done in a comic book before. So with The Walking Dead, some people had some idea of what was going to happen because they had seen the comic books and knew certain characters and certain plot beats that might happen. But Fear the Walking Dead was its own new thing. And like I say, there weren't many walkers, but we did get to see the beginning of the apocalypse. There isn't too much to it. It had like a mini time jump in the middle and a couple episodes in the middle that weren't that good. Oh, sorry, they weren't that good, but they were a little bit on the more boring side. They were still like fine, they were still good, but compared to the very beginning and the very end of season 1, which again, only 6 episodes, but they were a little bit flatter. But don't get it twisted. Season 1 is a fantastic season, and I would put it in A tier. Or I would put it in S tier because I'm me, but I would put it in A tier. I think it's good. It definitely does not blow your socks off, but it gives you new insight. It's the beginning of a great start to come. It's the foundations, and it's season 1. So with every show, you kind of have to give season 1 a little bit of a boost because it's gonna set the foundations. Like Lost sets up the island, sets up questions, sets up characters. The Walking Dead sets up the world, again sets up characters. Fear the Walking Dead, it sets up the characters, it sets up the world. So with all season 1s, you got to give them a bit of room. And of course, it was only 6 episodes. So some people complain about season 1 not showing enough of the start of the apocalypse. But that simply is, in my eyes, is because it's not long enough to do that. And it had to kind of be like, this is like at the very beginning, there is no zombies or walkers. And then we'll move on, see how people react to it, see schools closing down, see people like Tobias getting paranoid, and then we'll see when the government starts coming in, the military or the National Guard, and see how that collapses, and then what our characters do next and how survivors were. And we get to be in LA, which is a place we've never been before. And I don't know American geography, but I'm pretty sure that's like a different enough, from like The Walking Dead. I mean, it is. I mean, it's LA. And then, of course, I will lead on to second place. Season 2, we get boats. So second place, season 2 is, season 2 can get a lot of hate. Some people hate season 2, and I don't know why. Season 2 is a full season, and it's amazing. I will say the negative right now, it can be a little bit flat. It can be a little bit boring. Season 2 will not always keep you on your feet. Like, it won't always do that. But, for example, if you take season 2, is it like episode 7 or 8, Grotesque? I don't know what episode it exactly is, but it's Grotesque. It's Nick's episode, where he's not really doing much. He's just kind of going around the world, and we get to see Mexico in the light of Nick. That episode is definitely a slower paced one. However, if you compare it to like season 6 episode 13 or something like that, I don't know exactly, but you look at Grace's episode, it's a boring episode. Grace and Daniel's dementia episode 2 is so boring, but Grace's episode where she has a stillborn child. Now it's sad, okay, like it's not about the stillborn child. What I kind of have a problem with is how boring they made it. They just kind of had Grace going in and out of flashbacks and seeing people looking older in this blossomy pink bright world. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it's boring and it's such a filler episode. But Nick's episode, well, we like Nick. So that's a start. We're actually following a character we actually like. And we're exploring a new place, Mexico, which we haven't been before. And we're getting to still see the world like in the beginning stages. So you look at Grotesque and you actually think, oh yeah, actually that episode isn't that bad. Yes, it's a little boring because it's a slower paced episode, but that is what it is. The beginning of season 2 on the boat is fantastic. That's something we've never seen before, like, or at least above to that point, we'd never seen any kind of like boat survival. That's quite cool. It's different, and people refer to the beginning of season 2 as the boat. I think it was like 4 episodes on the boat, and it's a bit of an anthology, and that does keep you on your toes. One minute you have a family who wants to poison his whole family. I don't exactly remember. I think he wants to poison his whole family, and then the next episode you've got Alicia being kidnapped by pirates, which actually builds upon itself because that was kind of hinted at when Alicia was speaking to a boy on the radio a couple episodes prior. So it all builds upon itself. You see rising tensions with Daniel and Strand, who are so in character. Like, that is the Daniel and Strand that we see, that we like. And we get to Mexico, a whole new place outside of the States, like for the first time again by this point. and we get to explore a new world. Again, see Celia, another villain keeping you on your toes. People complain about how season 2 doesn't stick with anything, but it does. It absolutely does. Anything really past Celia with like the community, I forgot the exact name of it, but with like Luciana and Alejandro and the hotel, that kind of is the second part of season 2, and that's what sticks. But in the beginning, you have the anthology with the boat, and then you meet Celia on land, who is a threat dealt with like that. And no, Celia is not just Herschel. I'm so sick of people saying that. That is not true. Stop believing that Celia is just Herschel, because she's not. You have a cult as well. That is quite exciting. There's actually a cult. I wish they did lean in a little bit more into that, with it being like a cult, but it was still interesting enough to see. And yeah, Travis and Chris, a little bit boring. I think they have like 2 episodes near the end of season 2. I think if I would rewatch season 2, I feel like I might skip them, but I still think they're fine episodes. They're just a little bit boring. I don't know. I will be honest. Like season 2 has some flat moments, but again, to me, it's still an A tier. It's still above season 1. And don't forget how powerful the ending of season 2 is, where Travis just beats them kids for killing Chris, which is a little bit of payoff and understanding from them more boring episodes I just mentioned with Travis and Chris. And of course, Alicia saving Travis, killing someone. Like, this is the start of Alicia being a badass. And then Madison, when she does stupid things to try and find Nick. Like, yes, that's Madison. She cares about her kids. That is in character for her. That's what she does. And she will make stupid things for her kids, but that's fine. Wraith, and I think it's North, or is it South, I think. They are 2 amazing episodes at the end of season 2. Like, absolutely season 3 quality episodes. And on that topic, number 1 is season 3. Like, season 3 is the best season of Fear, and I wouldn't say by a long shot, because season 1 and 2 are also great seasons, but season 3 like is the clear winner. Season 3 does not have a single bad episode, and there are slower paced episodes, but there aren't as many. And like, the one I can just think of straight off my head is that Daniel episode, but that's not a bad episode, because the payoff and understanding of that episode will come back to us at the dam. We have amazing villains. Proctor John wasn't in it for a long time, but it was really good to see Proctor John, because, I mean, he would have been great. We all know he would have been great. He was very intimidating. This is like the seasons when the characters came their own. Like, we had Troy. We had actual Troy. We had Troy and Nick's dynamic, which was good for Nick. It was good for Troy. It was good for both of them. We had Travis's death. I love Travis's death because Fear was always more grounded. With The Walking Dead, it's a comic book, and so some things that happen in it do feel like a comic book. But Travis's death was so grounded to me, and it made you feel like anyone could die in Fear. And of course, Cliff Curtis left for a reason to go and film Avatar, but that's fine, because Travis's death, in my eyes, was good. Some people don't like it, but like, what the fuck do you want? Like, do you want everyone in the ranch to be looking at Travis, and you have Travis and Jeremiah, and they have a massive fight out, and one of them's gonna die, and Travis dies, and oh my god, what a huge built-up death. Like, no, sometimes you do need to have a death that's just like that will catch you off guard. Like, Nick's death was like that, but that was actually ridiculous. Whereas no one says Travis's death was, like, ridiculous. It was just, they might say it's bad how it happened. But you look at Nick's death, that's much worse than Travis's death. And then you also assassinate Charlie in the process as a character, and you understand what I mean. And Travis's arc kind of had already ended. Like, yes, I believe that if Cliff Curtis was to stay on the show, he would have got a new arc with Madison and all. But he didn't leave or die on an unfinished arc. And even if he did, like, it doesn't matter, because that didn't happen, and we got to see his good arc. The Ottos, great villains, should I say? Was Troy a villain? Was Jeremiah a villain? Kind of, but kind of not really. The biggest villain, at least in the beginning of season 3, was water. And of course, it was dealing with how we get water. Like, with Troy, mainly just Jeremiah. Jeremiah just being selfish and not sharing the land. And then you have Taka, who again is the villain, but he's not like a bad person. And he actually comes in clutch at the end of season 3 to save everybody. So, again, I don't know what to tell ya. Season 3 was able to cover new grounds. Especially, again, still following on from the fall down of civilization, with the villain being land, being water, being resources, and how everything's still built up. Ophelia's death, that was a sad death. And that was a death that, like, she died trying to help people. And I personally am not Ophelia's biggest fan. I don't see what she really did. Like, I don't think she did too much. But I don't dislike Ophelia. Like, I like her. I like Mercedes Mason. But her death was, I think, a pretty nice death. I think a pretty comfortable death that was sad, that obviously would have developed Daniel if we had continued, I think. But it was so good to see, like, season 3. There isn't a bad thing to say about it. There's that weird scene with that guy with his brain half pecked out and he's singing that song or whatever, and the crows just, like, eating off his brain. Like, wow. Season 3 is a season to rival any of the Walking Dead seasons. Like, you need to watch it and really understand what season 3 does, what it shows, what it brings up, to fully appreciate it. But that is basically my ranking of every single season. Crazy. Like, it's crazy that this whole thing is over. Like, but in last place is season 5, then season 7, then season 4, then season 8, then season 6, and season 1, then season 2, and the winner is season 3. That was basically just a quick overview. Like, of course, there's more to say about each individual seasons and more individual episodes and things that happen in the season to go over, but that's what I would rank them. And I think that that's the only way you can rank them, because, well, not the only way you can rank them. Like, I would understand if people interchanged season 5 and season 7, maybe if they interchanged season 4 and season 6. One thing that I absolutely don't understand is when people think that any of the rebooted seasons are as good as the OG seasons. The OG seasons are something else. They are something special and their own narrative. Rebooted Fear just takes a couple of those characters and runs away with something else. And that something else does not match any of the complexity, any of the interesting things, or any of the depth that the original Fear had. So, on that note, thank you, Fear the Walking Dead seasons 1 through 3, for giving me one of my favourite TV shows. And thank you, Rebooted Fear, for wasting the actors' time when they probably could have been off doing other things. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.